So nice to have you here this afternoon with me. Thank you for coming in to this coffee shop. We're sitting here having a nice chat about the 100 days and the journey that your life has taken. And I want the viewers to know who Mary Ann is and what it was that inspired you to do the 100 Days to Health and to write all your wonderful books, The Natural Way. So tell me, Mary Ann, when did it all start?
Gosh, do I go back to my childhood or do I go when we actually started? If I look at the way I was raised, my mother raised us to not drink fizzy cold drink, to not take medication unless you we're going to die. It was like, and she always taught us to look at the side effects. If you get on a medication, read the side effects, which was interesting because she didn't come from a medical background, but she was a curious person. And she tried to do things as naturally as possible, even though she smoked and drank alcohol, which used to make me laugh. She stopped eventually. And she lived to 91, so she was doing something right. Even while she was drinking and smoking, she always ate well. Quite interesting to see that. So for me, once we got married, I didn't behave very well the first probably 5 years of our marriage. And when I say I didn't behave well, I would throw my toys out the cot regularly, scream and shout at my poor husband, Mark, and throw stuff around.
We're still married.
We're still married, nearly 50 years now. And, and it's a miracle. I said to him once, why did you actually stay with me? Because if you had behaved as badly as I had, I would have left. And he said the good times made up for the bad. Oh. Clearly, that's why I'm still married to him. He's an amazing person. But I was diagnosed as being bipolar, and in fact what I was a sugar junkie. I ate healthy things, and I made fudge using brown sugar with sweetened condensed, that kind of stuff. And I would eat all kinds of rich, sweet things like Cook Sisters and custard slices and chocolate eclairs, just craved sweet stuff. And I didn't realize it was causing a problem in my brain and affecting me. And then when I was diagnosed as being bipolar, I was told to go onto a drug called lithium. Having been raised by my mother to look at side effects, I went and asked, there was no Google in those days. I had to go into the chemist and say, could you please give me the insert of the script over here so I can read the side effects? And they looked at me like, I'd lost my mind. And I had, but now I was in the process of finding it again. And I read the side effects and I thought, weight gain was one of the things which I didn't see until the end. And that was a big thing for me because I come from a family where all the women are overweight. Once they're past 30, they just explode. And the things that didn't bother me with it, the liver and the kidney function, I was more concerned about the weight gain. And so that made me look for other solutions. I couldn't carry on like I was. I knew that it was, and I didn't know what it was I was looking at. And somebody gave me a book called Sugar Blues, and it was all about how this guy literally was like me. He'd completely lost his mind. He was behaving badly, and he met a very famous actress, and funnily enough, they fell in love, even though he was much younger than her. They ended up getting married, but she taught him about living naturally, and he found his mind, He lost it, now he found it. And I thought, well, I'm going to do what he did. And I stopped putting refined cane sugar into my body, but I still craved sweet things. So I started eating a lot of fresh fruit. My blood sugar totally stabilized. My brain started working properly. And I have not had a bipolar disorder for probably 40 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, even longer, probably even more. So it's been pretty amazing. It has been. And then from there, okay. My husband had high blood pressure. He suffered from indigestion. And then we had 3 kids. And progressively it was tonsillitis in the oldest one, allergic rhinitis, the runny nose in the middle one, and ear infections with the younger. And it was like doctor and antibiotics. And then like the second dose of antibiotics, I was saying to the doctor, shouldn't they be taking some extra vitamin because of the antibiotics, or shouldn't they be taking something extra to boost their immune system? Oh, yeah, here's a script, and he gave me a script for a vitamin syrup was made with sugar and preservatives, and then that would affect their chests. And then, so I was feeling like I was trying to find answers, but nobody was giving them to me.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
that little mouse on a
it's
circle,
exactly
just
that.
going on and on and on.
This is a long answer to a short question, but basically from there on, we got a book on food combining, not mixing proteins and starches, and my husband's indigestion went So for the first time in like 10 years, he wasn't taking antacid medication. And he had more energy because he was just always tired. He just slept all the time. And I mean, now he's in his 70s and he never sleeps in the middle of the day. He used to come home from work and fall asleep on the couch. I'd have to wake him up to have dinner. He doesn't do that at all. I mean, he's just 5 to 6 hours sleep a night is all he needs. And he's up and he's got more energy than most people around him. So it was a gradual process. And yeah, my allergies went away with food combining, had no more allergies. That was amazing because I had been sneezing nonstop for 2 years and had allergic dermatitis on my hands and allergic rhinitis. And then taking the dairy products out sorted the kids out. So we took all the dairy, the cheese, the yogurt, the milk, all the things we were told to feed them because it would give them healthy bones and make them grow. Took that out. And then I was serious. Like, now where am I going to get the calcium from? So that's when I started studying nutrition in seriousness. I had studied anatomy and physiology and chemistry. So I was very aware of the human body and how it worked. So it was like, surely there's a way that this body can work without us having to live on antibiotics and painkillers and sleeping tablets and antidepressants and all of this stuff to just be normal. There's got to be a way that we can live naturally. And in fact, the first book I wrote was called The Natural Way because we found that natural way, which was, you know, if you live naturally and you obey the natural laws that God has put in place, then you'll end up with this amazingly natural health. The ear infections went, the tonsillitis went, the runny noses went, the indigestion was gone, the allergic dermatitis was gone, the bipolar was gone, and we were like, this is amazing. We haven't had a doctor's bill. I mean, we were at the doctor with one of us at least every week. One of us, something was wrong with one of the 5 of us. So yeah, once a week, one of us was at the doctor for something, you know, and it was costing a lot of money and time. I mean, I remember those days because you used to sit in the doctor's waiting room, and I think that's what made me the maddest. Like, I was desperate to find a way. What made me the maddest was sitting there with 3 kids, snot streaming out the one kid's nose, the other one's got a temperature, and I'm sitting there probably having my really heavy menstrual periods, which I used to have. It was like endometriosis that hadn't been diagnosed because I was bleeding so heavily and passing chunks of stuff, feeling like I was miscarrying every month. So... and I sat there and I thought, I have now been in this waiting room for an hour and a half with 3 children, with a whole bunch of other sick, coughing people. This is not a good place to be. And then you get into the doctor's rooms and it's 5 minutes and he's written out a script. Doesn't give you a chance to talk. You want to ask questions, you can't ask the questions.
Yeah, they've got a schedule to keep.
No, totally. And my friend's husband was a doctor. He's retired now. And she said it's 7.5 minutes that they have. If they want to earn a decent income, you can't spend more than 7.5 minutes per patient.
Wow.
You've got to just churn through them. So it's just script. In a sense, we ask for it. You know, we want a pill. Give me a something. Yeah, none of this was fixing us. So I wanted answers to the questions that we had, and I couldn't get them from medicine at all. And so it was reading books and reading books and reading books. And then we got it right and we were living in the sweet spot. It took us a good 10 years to get there. And I always say to people is the 100 days is our 10 years condensed. So we're making it really short and sweet for you and teaching you the principles that we learned. And at the end of the day, it works. And we've had thousands of people around the world do the program and have them sit in front and say, I'm not on cholesterol meds, my cholesterol's normal, my blood pressure stabilized, and which is the one girl, she had traveling arthritis. Every time she woke up every morning, it was in a different part of her body, and the doctor said, you have traveling arthritis. And I remember saying to her, did you visit any interesting countries? She looked at me like, that's a weird question, and then she laughed afterwards. She didn't realize it was a joke. She was so serious about telling me how her life. But she said it was literally in 3 days, getting on the 100 days. She had no more arthritis. It was gone. So really what we've done is we've distilled it down to a place where it's not about giving stuff up. It's our 10 years of adding good things to our existing diet and tweaking things and adding this and adding a bit of that. And what happens is your blood chemistry changes. And as your blood chemistry changes, you start craving good stuff. You no longer crave the stuff that's not good for you. And it's a totally subconscious. You're like, oh, I haven't eaten fudge for like 3 months, but I don't feel like it. Because you're giving your body what it needs at cellular level. So it just simply stops craving things.
What makes your program different to any other health program?
That's an interesting question. What makes it different? I think the big thing that makes it different is that you're given basically 5 basic principles or steps or hacks, and then every week you're given instructions. But within that structure, you are taught to listen to your body. So somebody would come along and say, I don't like bananas. Do I have to eat it? No, you don't. It's more important to listen to your body than it is to follow a set of rules. And the very thing that we do is on this program, there's no giving anything up. There's one thing you have to give up, and that's artificial sweeteners, specifically aspartame, because aspartame is found in a variety of sweeteners that you can buy, and it's found in all your soft drinks, your diet soft drinks. It messes up your endocrine system, causes neuroendocrine disorders. That's your central nervous system, your brain, and your hormonal system. It's actually the system that controls everything in your body. So if you're going to upset that system, and that also happens to control body weight, and that particular sweetener has been known to slow down people's metabolism. So people are drinking all these diet things, and the one 16-year-old said to his mother, Mom, those diet drinks are making you fat. And she said, what do you know? You're only 16. He said, yeah, I lived with you for 16 years, and I just see you getting fatter and fatter, and you keep drinking those drinks. So it's got to be that. Anyway, so
Mouths of babes, eh?
yeah, but really what makes it different is that you're not giving stuff up. I'm not telling you to give up coffee and don't eat bread and don't. But as you go on the journey, you have weekly Zoom sessions with me for one. So you're having these sessions and you're getting the support. You're in a community on WhatsApp or any one of the communities that your game changer should keep you on. So really what makes it different is you're not giving anything up, as I say, other than artificial sweeteners. It's based on listening to your body. And it's designed specifically to give your body all the nutrients it needs so that your body can repair itself. So there's nothing that you can eat or drink. There's no one thing you can do to make your body well. What you're doing is creating an environment, and that includes exercise, natural light, times of rest. I think the Bible had a good idea. Rest one day a week and do nothing, And when we do that, it's like you don't have this obsession with, I've got to go on holiday. I'm having a nervous breakdown. You just take one day a week and you rest. And those are the kinds of things. I'm teaching you a series of principles as opposed to giving you a set of laws.
Yeah.
You can't have that, and you can't have that, and you can't have that. And it's not about that at all.
No, it's a very gentle.
Yeah. So you're learning the principles. They're becoming part of your life. And as you go along, you tweak things. And you say, this is not working for me. I need to do that. And you've got the support. The thing, you've got ongoing support that you can rely on, and it's based on science. It's not my opinion, although it's based on our 10-year journey. All of it is based on the most comprehensive nutritional research ever done in the world today, headed by Dr. T. Colin Campbell, and people like Dr. Caldwell Essel, Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. Neil Barnard from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. So it's very science-based. Not only based on science, it's based on the longest living, healthiest communities in the world, the Blue Zone. So it's not my opinion. It's having taken all these science and the reality of the Blue Zone communities who are so healthy, combined that into our own lives, and then it's become real, and then I'm sharing those principles with you, and you are navigating and making choices based on those principles. In a sense, you're kind of working out your own health, but with a clear track to run on. So I give you a track, and if you blow it, you just get back on the track. It's not like, I discourage guilt on any level. What I say to people is, don't punish yourself by feeling guilty when you've eaten something that you know your body's not going to respond well to. Because you're going to suffer physically. The next day you're going to wake up with puffy eyes or a food hangover, or you get a bit of a headache. Why punish yourself mentally as well? And so what? You ate something that wasn't good for you. You're going to eat something that's good for you at the next meal. It's not a diet. I know a lot of diets say there's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. This is a genuine lifestyle that has been lived by thousands of people. And we meet people from all over the world, whether it's Australia, United States, South Africa, the UK, Israel, France, Germany, people from all over the world who've applied these principles. And the letters we get from people just kind of blow your mind. But it's not surprising knowing how we improve. The same thing's happening to them. So it doesn't matter what background you come from, how bad your health is. It doesn't matter what your financial situation is, because it's affordable for anybody.
Yeah. Your fresh fruit and vegetables, your cheapest.
Exactly.
Food
And I encourage you
available.
to eat what's in season, what's grown locally, and what you can afford. I mean, of course, everybody wants to eat cashew nuts and like olives and artichokes. If those are things you can't afford, you don't need to eat them. So
Yeah, you can pick it up somewhere else.
absolutely.
Else you
You
eat.
can just take another thing. You can get the nutrients from another source. And of course, I provide all the recipes for it as well. So you've got all these lovely, easy recipes. I'm a lazy cook. I'm not a chef. I'm not going to take 3 days to prepare a dish. It's 15 minutes or I'm not going to make it. It's either on your plate, in the pot, in the stove, or in the oven. And I like cooking, but not for hours and hours and worrying about something flopping. You can't flop any of the recipes. They just taste different. Just what it is.
I love it. Can you walk us through what someone might experience during the first 100 days, the first 4 weeks of their journey?
The first 4 weeks of your journey, because it's such a gentle program and you're not changing things radically overnight, very few people detoxify. Some people might, and I tell them, don't give anything up. Go slowly. There's this perception that I'm on a diet, I must give everything up. And so some people start the 100 days and they stop coffee. And I tell them, don't do that. Wean yourself of coffee, dilute it with decaf, let it get less and less and less over the first, or the whole program for that matter. But some people just suddenly stop coffee because they're feeling so amazing, I'm going to stop coffee. And then they get terrible headaches, they could be nauseous, they could have problems sleeping, they could be irritable. Those are normal caffeine withdrawal symptoms. And that in itself is proof that it's not good for you. And anybody says coffee is good for you, try stopping it and see what happens. If something's good for you, if apples are good for you and you stop eating them, you're not going to get a headache. You're not going to start shaking. You're not going to want to kill your husband or your wife.
That's so true.
But stop caffeine and you could lose your mind,
That's true. That's very true.
So, there could be detox, but the most common sensation that people have, most common the response I've had from people in those first 4 weeks is their stomach's working better and they're sleeping better and they have more energy. And because you're eating more plant food, you're eating raw food before cooked food is one of the good things. It's more alkaline forming food, increase your energy levels, so your energy levels will go up without you even thinking about it.
Yeah,
So that's the most common.
that's great. Miriam, what are some of the biggest myths about nutrition that you regularly encounter? And how do you debunk?
So how do I debunk some of the myths? Well, let's tell you what some of those myths are. One, that cow's milk or dairy products is good for you. The best way to debunk any myth is to just offer science. It's not my opinion. Here's the science, and here's my experiences. This is what happens. So let's take something like cow's milk. Cow's milk you need for healthy bones and teeth. And in all the studies I've ever done, any of the research I've ever looked at, and you can even go and look at the countries that consume the most cow's milk, the most yogurt, the most cheese, have got the most osteoporosis or brittle bone disease, the most dental decay. They're also the countries with the most tonsillitis and tonsils removed. They're also the countries with the most allergic rhinitis, the runny noses, the ones with the most allergies and hay fever, the ones with the most sinusitis. So when you take dairy products out of your diet, and the best way to debunk is to say to somebody you've got a sinus problem and you're on sinus tablets, your kids are, they're wanting to take your tonsils out. Do you know that those are the first line of defense in your body that actually grow baby white blood cells into big soldiers to fight and kill bacteria and viruses, and now you're removing them? And if they don't know, they then find out. Now, I say to people, is just take all the dairy out for 3 weeks and delay the surgery. Just do that one thing. And literally within 3 days, the tonsils are down. So I encourage people to try it for themselves, and if there's no difference, to carry on doing what they're doing, but at the same time offer them science, because there's so much nonsense out there. I mean, everybody's running around on carnivore diets and not eating carbohydrates, but they don't understand that from a physiological point of view, your brain and central nervous system can't work without glucose. So initially you feel great because you've taken out all the sugar, you've taken out all the white flour, you've got the gluten removed, and oh my word, my stomach feels amazing. So you're really just eating one kind of food with maybe a couple of green leafy vegetables and some spinach and, you might be eating eggs. And some of them allow you blueberries, And so you're taking all the concentrated carbohydrates out, all the refined and processed carbohydrates, which are the things that make you feel bad. And gluten, if you take gluten out of most people's diets, their digestive tract feels amazing and their dry skin goes and their thyroid starts working. So if you were to do that with anybody, they would feel better. I mean, you've taken out all the colas and the soft drinks and you've taken out all the junk food when you go onto a carnivore or a meat-based diet. Because if it's junk food, it's going to be fried potato chips, it's going to be pizzas with dough on it, it's going to be cookies and candy and cakes, donuts, all of that's gone. Okay. So it's not the fact that it's meat, it's the fact that you removed all the stuff that's actually bad for you, all the fast foods, the junk food.
Yeah.
And I say to them at the end of the day, can you show me, always for me, one of the quickest ways to debunk it is to show me a community that lives the way you are advocating. Just one community where they are born into that community and eat like that, and they die at a good old age of 100, let's say 100. Well, there aren't any, because you take the Inuits and the Eskimos, or the Eskimos and the Maasai and the Hadses, which are known to eat mainly meat with some vegetables. And some of them, like the Maasai, will drink blood and eat raw meat for the first 2 years, but their life expectancy is 42 to 45 years.
Wow.
That's not a good life. So keep eating the meat, and you might feel okay until you're 40 and then go downhill from there. Whereas if you look at the longest living communities in the Blue Zone, many of them live over 100. They've got the healthiest 100-year-olds in the world living in those communities, who are physically fit and chopping wood and riding bicycles and water skiing and still driving. The one Marge Vuitton in the Blue Zone in Loma is still driving a car at 104 and being involved in 7 feeding schemes that she's involved in.
Wow.
I mean, being a useful member of community, you're not lying in hospital with a drip in your arm. So that's the easiest way to debunk it, is show me communities that live like this around the world, and how long do they live? You can't offer it, including the dairy issue. That's just, take it out. It's like refined sugar or alcohol or coffee. Take it out and see how you feel after 6 weeks. That's it.
That's it, yeah. How do you address concerns from people who feel overwhelmed by making such big lifestyle changes?
I don't encourage big lifestyle changes unless you've got a dread disease like cancer. Then you've got to act.
Yeah.
But I've never encouraged fast lifestyle changes. You've got to move at your own pace. And even on the 100 days, I tell people, look, it takes you 200 days or 300 days to finish the program. Don't panic. You've got 365 days that you've got access to me on Zoom to ask me questions. You can take that long if you want to. So you could implement a step every month.
Yeah.
And there's 14 weeks. So let's say 2 steps are pretty easy and you do them every 2 weeks. So you just keep your emails and you apply it when you do. I always say slow it down, because, gosh, men, dogs, and children don't like change.
No.
They don't. We're all like, I'm on a diet, I'm doing this, I'm giving that up. But men, dogs, and children dig their heels in, and they're like, okay, next thing your husband's having an affair with the chef down the road or at the corner bakery or something, So don't do that. Don't lay down the law and say, right, from today, we never again. No. Your kids just get rebellious when you do that. And I made those mistakes, so I know. The best way to do it is really slowly. You're just adding some raw food on the dinner table before the meal's ready. And say, supper's taking a while, won't be ready for another 15 minutes. Here's some hummus and some carrot sticks and some tomato slices. Dunk in there and enjoy yourself. So some cashew mayonnaise or some olive and cashew paste or any of the recipes that you get, the red pepper mayonnaise. So yeah, it's why I did the 100 days, to slow everybody down. But people get on the 100 days and they try and speed it up. Yeah. And it's like human nature. This is a race. So I encourage them that this is not a race. As I said, at least you've got a dread disease and you've given 3 months to live.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's taken you 30, 40, 50, 60 years to get to this point. Don't rush it. Just... and then you start feeling amazing. What else can I do? Yeah. So, and you can't do that, especially in a family. You've got to take it slowly, and it's just got to be subtle little changes. You just do the instructions for the week and stick to that, and don't do anything else. And then the next week you do the instructions, which is not about taking away, it's about adding to. And so if you do it slowly, you're more likely to stay on track. If you rush it, you're more likely to fall off the track and not get back on it, because it's like, oh no, this is too hard. And so... it's not a race, it's a journey. And that journey can take you several years to get. Certainly it took us 10 years. I'm putting it into 100 days. If you take 10 years, at least you're moving in the right direction. Yeah. And that's important. If you're moving forward with your health, or even if you're standing still for a while you catch your breath, but you should never feel overwhelmed. I always say to people, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're wanting to give up because you're moving too fast, and if your family getting rebellious, you're preaching to them. Zip your lip. Don't say anything to them. Just make subtle changes. And then they'll say, what are we on a diet that you're putting carrot sticks? No, supper's not ready yet. I thought you might be hungry. Don't give them a lecture about, this is good for you. This is good for you. You've got to have it all before you cook. And who says that? Well, Marianne Shearer says, I hate Marianne. I mean, how many kids have I said, I hated you for the first year we were doing this. And then my asthma's away and I'm sleeping properly at night. And now I love you, But I said to the mothers, whoever's doing it, mention my name. The minute you mention somebody's name, it becomes like, oh, that's a cult, or that's a diet, or that's a fad. Well, I've been in this fad for 40 years now. I'm still preaching the same message because it works. When you create the right environment in which your body can repair itself, it simply does.
Yeah.
And that environment needs to be adjusted at the rate and pace that you and your family can manage, not at some perceived, even the 100 days. It's just a guideline, if you want something for 100 days. Take your time and enjoy the journey.
Wonderful. What are some of the most common challenges participants face during the program? How can they overcome them?
Challenge probably would be resistance from family and friends, but that only
Because
happens.
you're not stopping.
But if you're doing it slowly and the right way, and you're zipping your lip and not telling people
Yeah.
about it, it's best to shut up and keep quiet.
Yeah.
It's like, can you imagine winning the lottery and you stand up, I won the lottery, and you're going to have half the people are going to want to borrow from you, the other half are going to hate you.
Yeah.
The minute you say you're eating healthily, everybody else feels criticized and
Yeah,
judged.
that's true.
And then they do go out of their way to sabotage you.
Yeah.
So honestly, the best way to not have these problems is to go at the pace of the program, or slower, but not faster. Don't preach to anybody. And if somebody says, oh my word, Debbie, you're looking amazing. What are you doing? You're having an affair. Have you fallen in love? Have you won the lottery. And then you say, well, I'm just been making a conscious choices to add more good things to it. Not, I'm on a diet. Don't use those words.
Yeah.
It's not. If it was a diet, there'd be very, very strict rules and you wouldn't be allowed to do certain things. You're allowed to eat chocolate on this program if you want to. But make sure you eat some raisins or an apple or a banana or any natural sweet thing before you do it. To give your cells what they need and then give your taste buds what they want. So I tell you that stuff. Because the minute I said, don't eat chocolate, it's going to do this, and don't eat this, and then you're going to crave it.
Yeah.
But if I said you can eat as much chocolate as you want, you must just eat some raw fruit or some preservative-free dried fruit, you're going to okay, fine, I'll have it. I'll eat the raisin. And then you don't feel like the chocolate after, because you've given yourself the glucose it needs.
Yeah.
So the challenges that come in and only happen because people are not listening to what the program's saying. They're not listening to their body and they're not zipping their lip. You just really have to keep quiet. And you just say, I'm just trying to consciously make better choices when it comes to my food. And they'll come out of their way to try and, you've got to taste this dessert. And you say, taste it. Oh, that's really nice. But I'm really full. I'd be overeating if I had any more.
Yeah.
It must be about the sugar in it or the gluten in it. Or don't make them feel guilty. The minute you go on about what's in there, they feel bad about what they're doing to their body. It's just about you.
Oh,
I have
slipped up a lot.
Don't worry, so did I. I learned this stuff by making stupid mistakes. I wasn't wise to start off. I mean, it was so bad that when I invited family over, they wouldn't come and eat at our house. They thought they were going to get carrot sticks. Seriously. So, and the one time I put on a whole buffet breakfast for them, and I said, come and have breakfast. And I think 2 members out of 12 arrived. Because I'd been preaching to them, and you get so passionate about your own health. You want to share it with everybody else. And probably one of the most difficult things is to keep quiet, because you felt it's like, if you become spiritually renewed as a person, you want to go and tell everybody about this wonderful spiritual experience and how your life has changed. You want to do the same thing when you go, look what's happened. I'm feeling so amazing and blah, 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 blah. People don't want to hear that. They actually don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And I had to learn the same thing. And then you also want to tell people because you care. If you meet somebody who's got some terrible disease and you say,
Fish to your family.
yes, this could help your gut.
Yeah.
And that's why there's that saying, a prophet is without honor in his own family. Don't be a prophet. Shut your mouth. Don't preach.
That's the hardest thing out there.
You have to keep quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had family members get cancer in my family. And I've never spoken to them other than right in the beginning and seeing the a negative effect I was having them. And every time we got together as a family, they would always sit and tease me.
I know.
Just
You
smile,
become the joke in the family.
just smile and wave and say, hey, man. That's honestly, when people start teasing me, my husband and I have got this code. And one of us is going to say, look, we do this because our sex life is amazing. And then they all just suddenly shut up. It's going to make a whole lot of people feel uncomfortable and a whole lot of people feel curious.
Yeah.
And then you just shut up. And so you just say something like that. And then they're like, so this one family member of mine just like did whatever he wanted to, ate whatever, drank whatever. So I'm not sick. And then he got cancer. And only 2 weeks after he was diagnosed, I said, why did you take so long? He said, no, I knew that I had to change my diet. So I instantly changed it. I knew exactly what to do because I'd read your book and I know what I'm supposed to do. And I did it. And I want to tell you, I'm feeling amazing. And I've lost some of my excess weight already. And I know I'm on the right track.
Oh,
And this morning, he sent through a message to say that being on this program, he's doing it for the cancer. And it appears the tumor in his esophagus and he wasn't able to eat. So he was having smoothies and juices. But now he's able to eat and swallow and there's no feeling.
wow.
The other thing is that he said this morning, he was sharing with the group. He's got a lot of friends all over the world. So he's sharing with them saying, ever since I changed my diet for cancer reasons, discovered I've got no hay fever. He lives in the UK. No hay fever. It's summer, it's spring. I've got no hay fever. The first time I can't remember. And he says, my back pain, I noticed, is gone completely. And my sciatic nerve problem is completely gone. And so that's the beauty of what you're doing. It doesn't matter what your health issue is. Dr. Colin Campbell says it in his book, The China Study, which is the Bible of nutritional research in the world. Nobody's ever done that amount of research over such a long period of time and so many people with so many different universities and health organizations involved in it. It's just huge. I mean, at one stage they had something like 265 people collecting evidence from people in villages all over China.
Wow.
And he says in there, it doesn't matter what your condition is. It doesn't matter whether you've got arthritis or gout or senile dementia or Alzheimer's or multiple sclerosis. It doesn't matter what your problem is. The same diet that will fix or prevent heart disease is going to prevent cancer. The same diet that could reverse your multiple sclerosis could lower your blood pressure, because what you're doing is you're simply creating an environment in your body which allows it to heal itself. And sometimes it's quick and sometimes it's long. I mean, it can take up to 8 years to sort out all your problems. But you'll start seeing a difference within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of your little students
Well, tell
that
us.
have transformed.
How did your health improve?
Well, I had a lot of bad reflux, so bad that I actually developed a hernia. Had terrible diverticulitis. I've had 3 operations on my wrist because of tendinitis.
Wow.
I've had arthritis in my hands, and I was on chronic reflux thing because it was so bad. I mean, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just have to run because it just would all bubble out. And then I did your program, and I promise you, it changed my life. I haven't been back to hospital for diverticulitis attacks. I don't have arthritis anymore. I don't have the tendinitis anymore. The reflux is gone. I mean, it's all. I
That's
know I'm
amazing.
still on a journey. I don't get it right all the time. I feel it as soon as I don't get it
Exactly.
right.
So don't punish yourself mentally if you
Exactly.
blow it. Like, okay, I've blown it. I'm going to feel the pain. I'm going to have aches in my joints for maybe 5
Exactly.
days and then it'll go away.
Exactly. Then you just carry on
Yeah.
because I know what the steps are
Yeah.
to
But
make
you've
right
got
choices.
your track.
Yeah.
And you know how to get back on the track.
And I know the next Zoom meeting, someone's going to say something that's going to encourage me to pull
Yeah.
it together and get going
Yeah.
again. So those Zoom meetings I find
do.
helpful.
They actually say, and I keep repeating it in the Zoom meetings as well, as 84% of people will fall off a healthy program if there's no actual support. They need to be
yeah.
part of a community. And
Yeah.
that's the reason we started the community was
Yeah.
I'm so grateful COVID happened because I discovered Zoom, as did everybody else.
Exactly.
But we've carried on with it because that community is so important. And we've got people from all over the world in those communities.
And I'm finding I've made friends from all over the
Yeah.
world. I've never met them, but I'm talking to them and we're talking to each other and we're helping each other.
And it's amazing.
It is, I mean, it's really has definitely broadened my world
Yeah.
for sure. I love your Zoom meetings. And then you always say something that goes, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I need to. And then it becomes, the more you hear it, you know, the more it becomes part of who you are.
Called spaced repetition.
Yeah.
You know, you hear things often enough, and it's not a brainwashing. It can be used as a brainwashing technique, but we have been brainwashed to think in a certain
Yeah,
direction. Like
already.
meat's good for you, milk's good for you,
Yeah.
and it's not, I'm not trying to make people vegan. You can still eat meat, be a meat eater on the program. So we're not trying to turn everybody into vegetarians. It's not the goal. I'm trying to help you to get to a place where you manage your health and you're not dependent on a system to manage your health.
Exactly.
And to be at an age where, I mean, we have a great granddaughter and not be on any medication and not be dependent on any medical system.
Oh, it's so
It's like
free.
you wake up in the morning and you can get on your bicycle and you know, and you're like, it's just amazing. It's so liberating. People don't realize how free you are when you're healthy.
Yeah.
It's just like an
What do they
amazing
say?
place.
Your health is your first wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have all the money in the world. And if you die young, you know, before you can enjoy it, or you're just in such pain that you can't enjoy your wealth.
I think we take our health for granted when we're young. I look at my children and I think, wow, I was like that too. We actually become arrogant in our youth.
Yeah.
We know everything. We're healthy. There's no reason to change what we're doing.
But you actually need to feel the pain first. It's a
To
sad
appreciate.
thing. A wise man learns by instruction,
Yeah.
implying that a fool learns from their mistakes. And I must say, I was one of the biggest fools learning from my own mistakes as well. I also grew up.
I think we all do.
My own kids grew up in a healthy home and went off and did a whole bunch of unhealthy things. And now they're in their 40s and they like, oh, gosh, you know, this stuff. But they always said to me, Mom, you raised us so healthy that we don't have any health problems. And so we were able to eat things and do things and get away with it. And now we're paying the price. So instead of having health issues when they were in their 20s like I had, they're getting in their 40s and they're to change because they know what to do, like my brother. Once you know the basics, you know, okay, I know I've got to change. But I just encourage people, don't wait until something goes wrong.
No,
Change it now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you don't make those changes when you're feeling healthy.
No, you don't.
No.
But it's not a bad thing to say, how can I create an environment in that I'm never exposed to cancer or heart disease or diabetes, that I'm never going to get gout or arthritis. It's a wonderful place to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so what advice do you give people to maintain their health gains after the 100 days are over? What comes afterwards?
After the 100 days, I have a program called 365 that I encourage people to go on. It's 12 pillars of health. It's 12 body systems. So you learn the top layer like this. Now you go a little bit deeper. And some people go on to study our natural health and nutrition and they want to help other people. And that's more like it's the equivalent of a degree in hours and time and information. But I tell people when they finish the 100 days is just stay on the 100 days. You know, if you're not going to do the 365, which teaches you even more, like, you know, your liver performs 500 functions and you never have to give it an instruction to do any of those things. It does it on its own when you're looking after your body. So you become more aware of how your body works and you'll never, once you've done 365, people say they'll never stray. They just know too much now. It's like you know the truth that sets you free. You're never going back to Egypt, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's there to help them. Otherwise, if they're not wanting to do it, but I encourage everybody to do that, is to simply just stay on what they know works. If it's worked for you, stay on it. And if you blow it, you get back on it.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, when I've done the 100 days, I'm going to go back to my old way of living now. Well, all those old problems you had, they're going to come back. It's almost like you've got this mentality. You just want to do something to take all your stuff away. So some people take medication to take the pain away, which takes the pain away, but then you end up with arthritis or gout, or you end up with a digestive problem because it causes inflammation in your digestive tract. Then you take the anti-inflammatories. Well, the anti-inflammatories and antibiotics together can cause meningitis, which is inflammation in the brain. So there's no medication that's going to fix you. It will treat your symptoms. But on the 100 days, you're going to be in great health.
Yeah.
And it's just stupid to go back to the way you lived before.
Exactly.
Keep those principles in place. You won't blow it.
Yeah.
You'll go to a wedding, you'll have a feast, you'll have family over. Just get back on track. And I found as well, when people come and visit us, we don't eat the way other people eat. We just, the way we eat, you join and you don't. But when you do a buffet, don't do plated meals. Do a buffet and let people help themselves. And then you find people don't feel so uncomfortable about. They choose the things, you know. They don't like olives, they don't have to eat them. Like mushrooms, but they don't like tomatoes. They can choose. It's the same with salads. If you always bring a salad on the table, you're always like, you got the salad every night, nobody wants to eat it. Put vegetable strips in a dip.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and some leaves. If people want to eat leaves, they'll eat them.
Yeah. Lovely. Do you think there's an awakening in the world now to a more plant-based, whole food plant-based?
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, even what's happening in America, the whole MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again. And Bobby Kennedy there is saying to everybody, like, in the 1950s and 60s, we didn't have cancer like this. I can tell you when my book first came out in 91, the first book that came out the natural way, I was asked to speak to the National Cancer Association here in South Africa, and I asked them for the latest statistics, and it was 1 out of every 6 to 7 people will get cancer in their lifetime. Now today, in 2025, that's sitting at 1 out of every 1 to 2 people will get cancer in their lifetime.
Wow.
And the statistics when I was a kid was like, it was like 1 in 100 you'd get cancer. And I remember as a kid, I met one person with cancer. She had leukemia. She was my age, and I could not stop thinking that one of the things that drove me to make better choices, I didn't want to end up like this kid. I had this picture of this child being carried by her father. She couldn't walk. She was weak. And I was like, I don't want to end up like that. So it was one of the things that drove me was I have this fear of getting sick and having to go to hospital. And now, today, as I say, there's 4 kids in my family. One had a brain tumor and died. The other one's got cancer and is in the process of changing diet and having treatment. One's had a heart attack. And I had all the health issues as a kid. I made the changes earlier. I haven't had any dread diseases. So you look at that out of 4 people. That's 2 out of 4. That's 1 out of every 2 people getting cancer. So even in our life, it struck us.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have to look at the statistics. Since 2009 until now, cancer rates have gone up by 79% in people under 50. The under 50s. I'm seeing it in 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
They're living on pizza, energy drinks, and sitting in front of a computer and never going outside. Well, chances are you're going to get sick. It's as simple as that. So people are looking for answers because medicine's not giving us those answers. And yes, there is a big move towards, it's not big enough yet, but it's there. There's an awareness even amongst men. Men before were never, it was always the woman going on a diet.
Yeah.
Now men are asking questions about health.
Yeah, I've seen that.
There's an awareness.
As well, definitely. What does your own daily routine look like in terms of meals, movement, and your mindset?
Meals? I'm going to take all my days and add them together and divide by 100 because for me, every day is different. Yesterday morning I had a smoothie for breakfast, and then this morning I had cheese and some mangoes. And in the smoothie, there's nuts and seeds, and there's pea protein with a bit of vanilla, and it's really delicious. A typical day, I will always exercise at least once a day, but I actually wear a watch that tells me what my steps are at any time of the day, because I like to do at least 10,000 steps. But it's not a big train smash if I don't, because there are days that I do 20,000 or 22,000 steps. But typically, in a typical day, I'll get up in the mornings and I'll do some exercise. That exercise might be riding a bike. In summer and winter, it's a bit dark and cold, but riding a bike or going for a walk. Or sometimes I just get out the mower and lawn. If there's been a whole lot of dew on the grass, I can't mow, so I'll do it in the afternoon. And I'll think, well, I'll do my exercise later on. So it's either cycling, walking, or mowing. Those are the most common. But the days that Mark and we live in a small holding, we'll need to chop down a tree because died. Big trees sometimes just die, and we've got to chop the tree down, and it's a chainsaw, and we'll both have a turn of chopping and loading logs. So there'll be a lot of physical, we're strong. I can hold a chainsaw and pick up big pieces of wood. So there's always, at least for me, I don't like to do less than half an hour of exercise, but I like a good solid hour, and sometimes it's 2 hours. So exercise in the morning, and I might do again half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. And then I'll have my garden trio, which is barley grass, my barley lime, just carrots, ready beef. I have Vivify because as when you get older, you don't sleep as well as you would like to. You wake up easily. And I don't want to take sleeping tablets. So I take something that's got astaxanthin in it called Vivify, and that really doesn't knock you out. I take it in the morning. So I don't feel sleepy. When I go to bed, I sleep. And you go to bed at like 10, 11, and you wake up at 5, 6 o'clock. And there's no waking up, no going to the bathroom. It's amazing, actually. So I take the BioVivify, and I take Omega capsule for the essential fatty acids, and I take flora food for the gut. So I'll have that after I've exercised. And then usually sometime between 10 and 2, I'll have breakfast, which will either, Mark and I find we feel best eating twice a day now that we're older. So we've been listening to our bodies, and our body says, no, don't eat now. And so we have, like I had a smoothie yesterday that had pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, pea protein in it. And then I had pineapple, mango, strawberries, and blueberries, and freshly extracted apple juice all blended together. And today they were organic nachos and they were so delicious. I just peeled a whole pile and Mark and I sat in the sun eating that. And we had some the last of the season's mangoes. I mean, it's June and we still found a couple of mangoes around. And then we'll have lunch here at our restaurant, probably at about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we won't eat again for the day. So we'll have lapa, as we call it. I always encourage people not to eat after sunset anyway. You sleep better. But a lot of people do eat after sunset, especially in summer. But
I think it's working. People get home late from
yeah,
work.
they get home late from work. So if it's easy for you, I just find it better for me to have lunch than to have supper. And if I am hungry later on, I might have a piece of carob or a piece of dried mango or a malted carob. We usually have that in winter for
It's
supper.
delicious.
So yeah, that's what we do. And then we go to bed sometime between 10 and 11 is what we aim for. There's an odd night we'll make it 11:30 or 12. There's been a lot of stuff to do. We try not to do any electronic work anytime after 8 o'clock at night. It's not always easy because I'm doing Zoom until 9:30 at night. And then we usually have piles of books next to us. We do watch a good movie on the weekends and stuff like that. Or in rainy weather, watch a good series on Netflix or something. You're not like religious about, we never watch a movie. So, yeah, that's basically what we do. And then on Saturdays, we rest completely. We just rest. And if the sun's shining, we'll put a nice blanket under a tree. We put our legs in the sun. If it's warm sun, we might be in our bathing suits and get a good half an hour to an hour of natural sun on our skin to make vitamin D, which we get when we're cycling as well. We always have our arms exposed. Or if it's pouring with rain, we might just snuggle up on the couch, watch a series, read a book, play a game with the kids. I'm trying to think. Mark plays music, so he loves he's busy teaching himself the piano. He plays the drums and the guitar now. He's teaching himself the piano. So he'll do that, and I'll lie on the couch and watch. And I've got a really good book I'm reading now, the story of Winston Churchill's wife, Clementine.
Oh, wow.
Her life story. I'm busy reading that. Absolutely fascinating. So I like reading biographies. Those are my favorite books to read. I'm reading that, and I'm reading Whitey, the story about the guy who took over Checkers and turned it around, OK Bazaars, ShopRite, Whitey Basson. Fascinating book.
Oh.
You just got to read it. I get inspired by people's life stories. I always have. I found as a kid reading biographies are my best books of all time to read. And at any given time, I'm probably reading somewhere around 1 to 3 people's biographies, depending on what mood I'm in. So yeah, that's about it. You go for a massage sometimes once a week, sometimes once a month. Just a full body massage. And yeah, that's kind of it. And we spend as much time as we can, which is not easy with our great-granddaughter. She's 2.5 and she's the light of our lives.
I have
Man,
noticed.
we get like half an hour with her and we're like so happy it's our turn, It's amazing. People always say grandchildren are better than children, and they are. But great-grandchildren are better than all of them. I want to live long enough to see her
I
kids.
tell you what, Marianne, you look amazing to be a great-grand. Really well done. If you could give people one message about their health, what would it be?
Eat more fruit and vegetables. Eat in a day. Eat raw fruit or vegetables before you eat anything else. If you do that one thing, you're going to notice a difference. Just that one thing. And then make changes slowly, Curious. Don't be dogmatic about what you've done your whole life, because unless you've got perfect health, then clearly you're doing something wrong. Some people can be so dogmatic about they'll spend thousands on taking vitamin supplements and they're not any better. And I say, stop. And they're like too scared to stop in case their health deteriorates. Have you got perfect health? No, I haven't. Has anything improved? No, it hasn't. I'm just scared that if I stop, things will get worse. So I would say, start eating more fruit and vegetables and stop taking the manufactured vitamin supplements. You get all the vitamins and minerals you need in fruit and veggies when they do that one thing.
At the moment, you're offering your 100 Days to Health program for free.
Yes.
Up until the 31st of August. What's the reason for that?
I'm trying to reach 1 million people as fast as I can and get them healthy. That's part of it. But the reason for getting there is I think that if we offer it for free, we'll get more people doing it, which means we'll get more people being healthy. And when you're healthy, your brain starts to work properly. And when your brain starts to work properly, just be careful of it when it starts working properly, because some people end up divorced. They realize they've been in a really bad marriage. It's like you see the truth. It's the weirdest thing. You either end up more happily married because you see the truth of what an amazing person you're with and stop complaining, or you see the truth and you reckon, I have worked at this for 40 years and this is going nowhere, and this person doesn't even want to get healthy with me. So and you're going to need to change your wardrobe probably somewhere along the line. But if you do it gradually, it's a gradual thing. But at the end of the day, it's just, I think if we have more people with their brains working properly, we'll live in a better world. And we're living in a pretty crazy world. You just need to switch on the news in any country and people are doing really weird stuff. And I know I used to do that weird stuff. So I'm like, okay, that could have been me. I saw somebody hitting an officer and screaming and shouting at the woman in America, part of the Congress. And I think, nobody can understand why she's behaving. And I looked at her and I thought, that could have been me 40 years ago, doing crazy shit like that. Excuse my French. But I know what I got up to and the thoughts I had and the suicidal ideation and the depression and the mood swings. And my crazy behavior where I felt like killing the people around me, seriously, I planned to kill the people around me. I thought I was a serial killer. I was going to start with my family and take my own life. So I've never had any of those thoughts since I've been eating properly. And my thinking is, if my brain can work properly and it was in such a bad place, could you imagine if we were living in a place where people looked after their bodies and their brains worked properly? Yeah. Life would be, the world we lived in would be an amazing place. People would get on. There wouldn't be, you wouldn't even, healthy people don't even do things like stealing. When you're truly healthy, you just become honest. Yeah. And you become very conscious of your maker because the food you're eating is so God-made. Apple. An apple is a miracle. Think of how you plant a seed. And I've got apple trees growing in our garden, and a tree grows. And on that apple tree, you might get 50 apples, okay? And inside each of those apples are like 50 seeds. Now you start like, who did this? Who made this stuff? Yeah. You know, it wasn't a man that designed it. Yeah. Elon Musk can make Tesla. It's an amazing car, okay? Or any other car for that matter. Amazing. They had a designer and a manufacturer, and they made those things. But they don't compare anything to an apple, because I can't take, the steering wheel of a Tesla and planted and grown more Teslas. No. But I can do that with apples and cucumbers, and it's just miraculous. Yeah. I mean, so you automatically become more conscious of your maker. It doesn't matter what religion you come from, even if you've been an atheist, it doesn't matter. You just become more conscious that there is a creator, there is a maker. And when you become more conscious deeply inside yourself, not because somebody preached to you, you want to live right. Yeah. You want to make better choices, and you want to love your maker and love your fellow human being. So it's not a religion or a rule. It just becomes part of you. And I'm thinking, if that could happen to me, I've seen it happen to so many people, Debbie. I mean, I'm sure you and yourself, not that you were a bad person. You just want to be a better person. I suffered depression
as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's another thing.
That's another thing, yeah.
And,
I haven't given it a thought since, actually.
No, exactly.
Just hit me now.
My daughter was beside herself. One of my daughters, one of the friends in the social group that took her own life about 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And I just saw the trauma that whole group of friends went through, just trying to understand it, and the woman's husband and everything that went through. And she was consuming a lot of alcohol and not living very healthily at all, and had a lot of bad habits, but also didn't eat good food either. And I think that woman would be alive for her grandchild today had she been able to make better choices. So really, my reason is, and who knows, maybe I'll make it free for the rest of my life, because at the end, I don't know. We know we need to cover the cost of running the program. So it depends on all of that. So if this model that we're using now works, who knows, it may go on. But for now, I just want to get to as many people as possible and get them as healthy as possible so that their brains work properly, so we'll live in a better world. I'm on a mission to make the world a better place by helping people get healthy.
Oh, well, that's the best note to end this. Thank you so much, Marianne. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your passion and your passion for the world, how you want to make them healthy, the whole world.
Well, thank you for just, making yourself available and being so passionate yourself. Your story has the power to change thousands of people's lives. Because not one story. My story, it's your story. It's Hanneke's story, it's Mark's story. You eventually get so many stories of people's health. People can't avoid it. They hear this, and then the next thing, they hear from somebody else. And that's how we're all making the world a better place.
Yeah.
And I get so excited because you've got it. You've seen the vision. You're another person who's busy telling other people. And so this thing is not about me. It never has been about me. If I can do it, you can do it, he can do it. We're all going to make a difference. And it's not political. It's not religious. Nothing about the program is offensive to anybody. That's the beautiful thing about it. Politics. It's got nothing to do with it. It's about every single person in the world, regardless of your religion, your color, your creed, your belief system. Everybody needs to be helped.
Yes. Thanks, Marianne.
Pleasure, and thank you.